The rain had been falling for hours, carving silver lines down the cracked window of Maya's apartment. But she didn't move. She sat on the old wooden chair, spine curved like a collapsing bridge, eyes heavy from another sleepless night. Her breath felt shallow, her skin pale, her heartbeat slow and tired. The world around her seemed to dim a little every day, like someone kept lowering the brightness on her life. She didn't know when she had last felt strong or alive. She only knew she was exhausted physically, emotionally, spiritually, the kind of exhaustion that no nap, no weekend break, no cup of tea could cure. And as thunder rumbled across the sky, a thought crept into her mind like a whisper she had tried for years to silence. Maybe this is just who I am now. Broken, weak, lost. Before the story continues, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of choosing yourself again, please take a second to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support brings more stories to life. Maya used to be different. Her friends would describe her as sunlight in human form, warm, bright, impossible to ignore. But life had a way of stealing pieces of you without warning. First came the stress of a demanding job, the kind that made her skip meals and power through headaches. Then came the emotional exhaustion of caring for everyone but herself. And finally, the grief, quiet, sharp, and devastating, that came after her mother passed. It was like one day she blinked, and suddenly she was a stranger in her own skin, living on autopilot, surviving instead of living. Her doctor had called it burnout, but that word felt too simple, too small. Burnout sounded like something temporary, something you could recover from with a vacation or a bubble bath. But what Maya felt was deeper, like her body had forgotten how to be alive, and her soul had forgotten how to hope. She had gained weight, lost confidence, and her energy levels were so low that even climbing the stairs to her apartment left her breathless. Every morning she promised herself she'd start fresh. Every night she fell asleep disappointed, carrying guilt like an extra layer of skin. One evening, after another long day where she barely ate and worked until her vision blurred, Maya collapsed onto her couch and whispered into the empty room, "I can't do this anymore." Not as a complaint, but as a truth. Not in despair, but in surrender. She realized she didn't want to die. She just didn't want to keep living like this. The turning point came the next morning. She woke with a heaviness in her chest that scared her. Her hands trembled. Her heart raced. She had never experienced anything like it. She thought it might be a heart attack, but it wasn't. It was anxiety, raw, consuming, urgent. She sat on the kitchen floor, back against the cabinet, legs trembling as tears pooled in her eyes. And that was the moment she realized something important. If she didn't change her life would change her in ways she would never recover from. She didn't start with grand resolutions or dramatic plans. She began with a single breath, then another, then another. She told herself she would just try to live differently. Not perfectly, not intensely, just differently. She decided to make healthy living simple, something she could handle even on her worst days. Her first rule was gentle. Start small, but start. The first morning, she drank a single glass of water. Warm, soothing, simple. It didn't fix her life, but it softened something inside her, the belief that change was too hard. She felt something like hope flicker quietly. The next day she added a 5-minute stretch, just slow movements on her living room floor. Her muscles protested at first, stiff from years of neglect, but afterwards she felt lighter, as if her body was saying, "Thank you. I've been waiting for you." She began walking every evening. At first it was barely a block. Her breath grew sharp, her legs aching. People passed her effortlessly, and embarrassment burned in her chest. But she reminded herself that she was running a different race, the race of becoming herself again. Soon, 1 block became 2, 2 became 4. 4 became a small loop around her neighborhood. Every step was a conversation between her and her body, a quiet apology for all the years she ignored it. The biggest challenge came with food. Maya had a long history of emotional eating, skipping meals when stressed, overeating when overwhelmed, choosing comfort over nutrition. But instead of strict diets or restrictions, she chose kindness. She added fruits to her mornings, vegetables to her dinners, protein to her lunches, not all at once, but one habit at a time. She learned that she didn't need to eat perfectly, she just needed to nourish herself consistently. She learned to cook simple meals that didn't drain her energy, but filled her with something warm and healing. Slowly, her body responded. Her skin brightened. Her energy increased. She slept deeper. She breathed easier. But the greatest change happened inside her. She began feeling proud, not for the big wins, but for the small choices. The choice to show up for herself. The choice to keep going even when she wanted to quit. The choice to become her own safe place. And still, the journey wasn't smooth. She had days where she overslept, days where she cried without knowing why, days where the heaviness returned like a shadow that remembered her. She had moments where she felt like giving up, but she kept reminding herself, slow progress is still progress. Healing isn't linear. Healthy living is a practice, not a performance. As months passed, people around her began to notice. Her coworkers said her eyes seemed brighter. Her friends said her laugh sounded genuine again. Even strangers noticed the new lightness in her steps. But Maya knew the truth. The real transformation was invisible. It was the strength she rebuilt within herself, the courage she learned to carry, the self-respect she discovered along the way. One crisp autumn morning, as she walked along the river near her home, she realized she no longer felt like she was surviving her days. She was living them, fully, consciously, wakefully. She inhaled deeply, feeling her lungs expand with ease, feeling life flow through her like sunlight through glass. For the first time in years, she felt alive not because everything was perfect, but because she had finally chosen to take care of the one person she spent her entire life with, herself. Healthy living had become her anchor, her refuge, her quiet revolution. It wasn't about diets, or intense workouts, or impossible goals. It was about choosing small habits that nourished her mind, body, and soul. It was about giving herself permission to grow slowly, gently, and beautifully. It was about remembering that she deserved a life that felt good, not just one that looked good from the outside. And now, her journey stood as a reminder for anyone who felt lost, tired, or stuck. You don't need to transform overnight. You don't need perfection. You just need a beginning, one small step toward yourself. One glass of water. One walk. One breath. That's how new chapters begin. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment now to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your engagement helps these stories reach the people who need them most. Special request. Before you go, comment below. What small act of self-care will you start today? And remember, your healing starts with one gentle choice. Your life is still yours. Your strength is still inside you. And your new beginning can start right now.